Hi there, it's David Young, the Resourceful Coach, and what I'm going to talk a little bit about today is the 5 fundamentals that you need to have to play a reasonable game of golf. This is what we're looking to do. All of my lessons is here to help you improve your golf, especially on the golf course. But to start with, when I work with any golfer and we're looking to improve their game, I look at these fundamentals. So when they're hitting balls for me for the first time on the practice ground, I'll ask the golfer what they want from their golf, and then start to look at how they're doing these 5 key things. And the 5 things are, can the golfer, number 1, aim the golf club correctly and hold it correctly? That's number 2. And they tend to work together, and they'll control a lot about what the club face is doing. And that's going to be important when we come to that a little bit later to help you to play the shot. And then our other 3 points are ball position, body alignment, and posture. And they're going to aid the swing. So that's the way I break it down. There's 2 key parts to every golf shot, and that is the path of the swing and then the position of the club face when you strike the golf ball. And how those 2 things work together will determine your result. And I would say 90% of the time when the player hits a poor shot, it'll be down to 2 things. Either one of these 5 fundamentals is wrong, and that's not allowing them to play the shot they want, or the second thing is they're not mentally thinking clearly what they actually want to achieve. So everything about today's lesson is really about getting these 5 fundamentals right, and it's going to be the most orthodox way you can do it. So if in time you become somebody who can draw or fade the ball, that's absolutely fine. You will do something slightly different to what we're encouraging you to do today. This is going to be what I'd call as neutral as you can be. And it's through my experience and what I found what works for golfers. So let's look at our first 2 things. First 2 things are, and for me, at the end of the day, golf is about one thing, controlling the golf ball. And what I need to do is then have full control of the head of the golf club and how that's returning back to the ball. And my starting point always is these first 2 things. Am I holding the club correctly and getting the club face pointing correctly where we want to go? And I often see a lot of golfers, they'll just stand to the ball, and I just don't see in their mind the importance of these 2 things. So we're going to work them together. That's the important thing. So at the end of the day, if you think about it, golf is about how the club head strikes the ball. We must get that club face in the right position. So just looking at it the way the camera's looking at it here, and I've just got my 6-iron here, just get rid of that mud off the bottom, is that physically what I call the leading edge, which is that front edge of the golf club, if I was to look at it and just put it straight in front of me, needs to be vertically going straight up in the air. If I was then to put that down on the ground, that will now be pretty much at right angles to my intended target. I'm aiming the golf club correctly. So if you're looking at your golf club, and even as I'm holding it here, and you're used to seeing the club sitting more in that angle, as a right-handed golfer, that's probably going to encourage the golf ball to go left. And if the club is looking like that, it's going to encourage the golf ball to go right. So as simple as that. If you're not aiming the golf club correctly, that makes it very, very difficult to give you the chance. So the second thing then, the only link between you and the club are your hands. And it's really important to understand, is there a perfect grip for everybody? That there's one blueprint that we'd say, this is the way to hold the club, and everybody should do it this way? And my answer to that is no. We're all different. We all sort of hold the club in slightly different ways, because that's naturally how we're joined at the shoulder joint, and men and women are designed slightly differently in that way, so the grip can be different. So the exercise I'm going to show you today is to find your grip, which gives you the square club face position. But the basic fundamentals will be probably what you see online on other videos, showing you the so-called perfect grip. Now, for me, what's important is when I play golf, I want to feel the club head. I want to sense where the club head is so I can return that back to the ball. And that's going to aid me to do 2 or 3 things in a round of golf. Number 1, generate power, okay? If I can feel where the club head is, I can sense where that is, I can get good power into the shot. Second thing, I can turn that club face back square. And then if we go back to the power side, it gives me the feel that when I'm maybe doing short game shots, I can control that club face a little bit better and understand the feel and the contact and the speed that I want to generate to get that shot. So where is the feel part of your hands? Feel part of your hands are your fingers. So whenever you watch a really good golfer, he's gripping the golf club in his fingers, okay? And he's not gripping in the palm. The palm is sort of, if you think about it, if I pick up a ball and I was going to throw that, I would hold it in my fingers, and then what that will generate is flexibility in my wrist to give me power. I wouldn't grip it in the palm of my hand. If I grip it like that, it's very clumsy. And that's what I see a lot of golfers do. They're holding the golf club much more physically in sort of the palms of their hands like this, and it looks clumsy. It looks like they've got no feel for the club head. So that makes it very difficult. But it feels powerful, but actually it's not. We're going to show you that it isn't. So the first thing I want you to think of is, number one, I want to grip the golf club in my fingers. And that means I'm going to run the club. If I sort of look at it, I think of it like a little channel that the club's going to run through. Is I want to, if I do that just with my fingers, you can see I'm just sort of creating like little hooks. I want to run it through the forefinger of my left hand as a right-handed golfer, through that finger. And then what it's going to do is it's going to run across the middle to base of my next three fingers so I get to my little finger. And the idea then is the heel of my hand should be sitting more on the top of the club. If I grip it more in the palm of the hand, you can see there's a bit of a gap that can now come loose. But also it means I've got to grip the club tight because I'm now just gripping in the very fingertips to hold it. So I'm going to lose that feel. So what I want to feel is I'm getting that club nicely into my fingers, and then the heel of my hand sits on the top. And what that creates in my swing, just using my left hand, it creates a position now where my left thumb can run fractionally down the right side of the grip. Now, why do we want that position? Well, if I naturally let my hand hang beside my body, you can see how my thumb hangs slightly inwards. So I'm only creating my natural position. So the sensation is when I hold that club, if I put those two ideas together through the fingers, so through that middle joint and then the middle to base of the next fingers, heel on the top, thumb running slightly right of center, it's actually creating the most natural position that my arm wants to hang into. And if I just let the club sit in that position there, you'll often see somebody like Adam Scott will often take his grip and he just holds the position there beside his body, and he's just finding that natural position. Now, what's a really good exercise to do? This is what we're saying, it's your grip. If you just bring that club back up in front of your face, have a look at the club. Does it naturally go so that leading edge is skywards? If it is, it's telling us that that's your correct grip. If when you come up and it suddenly sits like that, and you can see it's very closed now, then the grip might be correct, but its relationship to the club face isn't. So that's no good. We need to get that relationship correct. That's our key thing we're looking for there. So our key thing is we want feel. So we're gripping it much more through the middle joint of that forefinger, across the middle to base of the next three fingers, and the heel of the hand sits on the top of the club and allows your thumb to run slightly right of center. Now, some of you might be more off center than others. That's okay, because what you've got to realize is we're all different. But as long as when you've got that there and it feels quite comfortable, relaxed, you've got those positions and that leading edge is skywards, you've now got your correct relationship. That's our starting point. Now, right hand's then a lot easier to do. Just let it hang beside your body. Look at what it does. Again, my thumb is hanging slightly inwards. I'm going to go with the same theory. I'm going to grip it in my fingers, so middle joint of my forefinger, across the middle to base of the next, and it allows my thumb to come over the top of the other hand, because that's where it naturally wants to go. And again, do the same exercise. Bring the club back up in front of your face, and if that leading edge is going straight up, perfect. That's your grip. If for some reason it feels like that hand wants to change it, so for example, again, if it wants to close, the likelihood is my hand might be too far round this way, my palm is a bit more skywards, it twists the club. So if the left hand's good, take the right hand off, start again. Bring it back in until you find your position. And all we're doing in these first two parts is getting that relationship with the club face. We said in the swing we need the club face to be correct and the path to be correct. Well, this is helping the club face. That's what we're looking to do. Now, we now have three options now. And this is, again, it's your game. Find what works for you. We have three options of how the hands may be sitting on the club. First option is, I'm going to give you the most simple one. Ladies, juniors, some men, you might find this works, is what we call the 10-finger grip. And it feels exactly that. All of your fingers and thumbs are gripping the club. Okay, and that's okay. As long as that little finger of your right hand is touching the finger on the left hand, that's absolutely fine. Second option, okay, can ride piggyback. The little finger can just ride piggyback. It's probably the most common grip, what we call the overlapping grip. Again, go through your routine, check it. Does that keep the club in a good position? Our third option is what we call interlocking. And what I'm going to call it is the half interlock grip. So what I see a lot of people do is they'll jam that finger right in, and what it does now, it starts to set the club much more into the palm of the hand. If you get into the palm, as we said earlier, it becomes very clumsy. So half interlock. So again, that club is running through that channel in your hand, so you can feel that. And again, every time when you do all these different positions, you're checking with that club face exactly, is it staying in the correct position? Is that leading edge going square? Leading edge going straight up, which means it's a square club face. And just find your position, okay? One of my other videos, 2-minute drill, I do a little exercise where you basically just shut your eyes, relax, bring it back up in front of your face, and if that leading edge is correct, perfect. So just by doing that, we're finding your grip, relationship to the club face, that's the key bit. By doing that, it now gives you a much greater chance to return the club face back square. But also by getting the grip very much in your fingers, it gives you feel. And that's important. A lot of people grip the golf club like it's the last club in the world. They're never going to let go of it. Grip it in a way, phrase I always used when I first started coaching was secure fingers, but relaxed wrists and arms. So I know I've got hold of the club, but I want to feel everything else around it is relaxed. I want to feel that when I swing, my wrists can cock the club up and down quite easily through the swing to give me the power that I want. But you still must grip it securely to have control. So I hear people say, you want a loose grip. Worst thing you can ever think of. If it's loose, it can move, it can twist, that can change the whole club face. So feel secure, but light. And what we've done in those first two things is given you that chance to have good feel of the club, and you've got good fundamentals now to start with. What we're going to talk about now more is your body positions and how they're going to help you to create the swing. So now we're going to start looking a little bit more at the swing, but the importance of these three fundamentals with your body position to make that swing much easier to use. And what's always interesting for me is how the body and that, as we set up, is going to make it easier for you to swing the club the direction you want to go. We've got three things we're going to look at. We're going to look at your posture, we're going to look at your alignment, and we're going to look at your ball position. And one of these things, if it's incorrect, could throw the whole swing out of kilter. So what we want to make sure we're doing is we're getting everything as neutral as we can. Remember, everything we're doing, we talked about club face and grip to start with, is getting you as neutral as we can. If you want to adapt, hit draws and fades, you can do that as we go along. So what do I look at first thing in somebody's body position? And I look at the posture. The posture for me allows the player to swing their arms and the club freely, and it gives them the opportunity to generate power in the swing. We're going to show you a very simple exercise you can do to find that position. So what I do is I'll look at the golfer, but what I want to do and start with is say, what is their natural position? If I just stand normally, I'm standing here, you can see my back's not perfectly straight, nobody's is. We have a slight roundedness in the shoulders, but generally my back reasonably straight in that position. And I want to get as close to that position when I play the shot as I can. Now, how I do that, you can do this very simple little drill. If you stand nice and tall, just take your golf club, put it into your hip joint, which is sort of here on your body. And what we're looking for in that position is to feel the main flex point in your body angles to get the right posture is through this hip joint. So standing tall, I'm going to flex through my hip joint about 30 degrees. And the big thing I'm looking to do is get my arms hanging freely. I just want to sense my arms are hanging nicely straight down. Okay? And that's my natural position. That's what I want to feel. If you let your arms hang beside your body, look where they go. They don't go like this. They don't go like this. So when you set up to a shot, you don't want to be stretching your arms away. You look at a really good player. You look at like somebody like Tiger Woods. The arms are just naturally hanging. Justin Rose, these players, fantastic postures. So let's go through that again. Just standing tall through the hip joint over approximately 30 degrees. Let the arms hang. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to slightly unlock my knees. Okay, I don't want a big leg flex. I just want to slightly unlock. And that does another thing for me. It makes me athletic. If you look at the modern golfer, I mean, if we go back to Jack Nicklaus times and all these great players, they were all athletic. But what they do, if you think of an athlete running, their weight is much more on their toes and on the big muscle near your big toe called the ball of your foot. They're not sitting on their heels. And that's what I see a lot of golfers do. Their posture is created by bending the knees first. So they go there, all my weight's back, and then the posture's terrible. They're like this, standing to the ball. You don't see a tour player like that. Look at Justin Rose, Tiger, we've mentioned them. They stand tall, they bend from the hips. Why they do it is now those arms are hanging, they can swing under the body, And if they unlock the knees, now the weight is towards the balls of the feet. And from that position, the body can respond as they want to generate power through the shot, which is what we're after. So here's a good little tip you can do, is once you've got that angle, if from there, it just feels as if you could just lightly tap your heels. You're not off the ground, you're not a ski jumper. You're just there and you're just lightly tapping your heels. That's perfect. If it feels more you can tap your toes, you're in an unathletic position. You're not going to generate power through the shot. So really important. The posture for me is important because it also now allows you to get that grip in a better position. If you've got this nice hanging position here of your arms, guess where your arm, we talked about where your thumbs naturally go, it allows you to find that position. So you're taking tension out of the shot. You're getting more and more relaxed. A more relaxed, smoother swing will generate a lot more power. So that's your posture. The next thing we're looking at is alignment. And again, if I look at the body position and we say posture's not great, this is a close second place behind it. People tend to aim their body at the target. But let's think about what you're actually setting out to do. You are taking an object, a golf club, you are swinging it through a ball towards an intended target. But what you do when you play the shot is you're standing to the side of the golf ball. So as a right-handed golfer, I'm standing, as you see on the camera, there's the ball, I'm standing to the left of the golf ball. So what we've done here, very simple, we've just put another club down, and what you're looking to do is get your body running what we call parallel left as a right-handed golfer. That means your toe line is running parallel to where you want to go. We're aiming over this first post, and my feet are running parallel to that position. And if it allows me to do that, straight away now have the chance, if my toes, knees, hips and shoulders are all parallel, to create this pathway for the club to go towards my target. So it's a little bit like a railway track. If I just use my arms to explain that, if I put my arms parallel to each other, they're running beside each other quite nicely. That's the position that we're looking for as we go through. We don't want them coming towards each other because then that's going to create a problem. So if we look at my feet in the wrong position, if I'm aiming my feet more at the target, straight away my parallel line is going more to the right. I could have the perfect swing, but I'm going to hit the ball right. I've got to make some level of adjustment somewhere else to put that right. And the opposite, if I now stand more open, the swing is going to go more to the left, and now I've got to make adjustments there. And if you're a drawer or a fader of the golf ball, you can do that. Remember, everything we're saying is about being orthodox. We're giving you that chance. So we've now covered 4 of our positions. We've covered the club, the grip, the posture, and your alignment. Our final thing is ball position. Let's see how that could affect your shot. So our 5th and final fundamental is ball position. And everything we've done today is to give you the most orthodox position we can, and we're doing it with a mid-iron. That's the important thing. Everything we're doing here today is with a 6-iron. So what I look for in my golfers to help make it more consistent is feel as they go through their irons, probably something from a pitching wedge all the way through to their 6-iron, I look to get them have a central ball position. That's what I work on. And again, we're back to that word consistency and orthodox. That's already, if we look at it, what we've got, pitching wedge, 9-iron, 8-iron, 7-iron, 6-iron, we're talking around about 5-6 different golf clubs there that are now swinging from the same position. And if we've got consistent posture, alignment, grip, aim of the club, that's half your golf clubs now doing exactly the same thing from the same position. So I always look for, and again, remember what we're saying, it's a mid-iron, we're looking for that ball position, and it's the back of the golf ball would be central to my stance. And that's important. Now, if you are playing a different club, and we'll just explain that very quickly, if you're playing a wood or a hybrid, you might move the ball further forward. But that's okay, that's with those clubs. But with a medium iron, we're playing it from a central position. If we don't play it from that position, it can now alter the whole path of your golf swing. So you could have the best swing, you could have the best posture, grip, everything. But if I now put the ball back in my stance, so as a right-handed golfer, that means I've got my ball nearer my right foot. That means if I now put my hands, what feels that nice hanging position in my posture, you can see how the hands are way ahead of the ball. And the shaft of the golf club now is pointing to the right. So what's going to happen is if I swing correctly, it's now going to hit the golf ball right. And I'll get the opposite effect if I have the ball too far forward. Okay, now the club looks like it's in the correct position there. Naturally now the swing is going more round to the left. And just the other day, there was a guy on the first tee. He looked like he was setting up for a lovely draw with his feet, his alignment, but his ball position was so far forward. By the time he got to it, the swing was coming round and he just pulled it straight left out of bounds. So it's really important to get these fundamentals right. And why I want you to do it with those clubs the same, as we said, through those 5 or 6 clubs already, that's half your set you're playing from the same position. Now, I will never play a full shot with my ball back in my stance. I might adapt to play a pitch shot or a ball into the wind, but I'll adapt. But I may change that ball position forward as the club gets longer. That's an important thing to understand. But again, I'll never, if I'm playing a 6-iron, why would I play it from a position that's consistent there? Why would I change that ball position unless I'm looking for a very different flight? So you keep that consistency. And what we're looking for now, we've talked about these 5 fundamentals. Have I got a consistent club face position? Have I got a grip now that will maintain that position? That's the important thing there. Those 2 things are going to work on that club face. On the body positions, to help me with that grip, get the right posture to let the arms hang, feel that the feet are running nice and parallel to where I want to go, and I've now got the ball position correct. Those last 3 things are going to help me to make a much better swing. And the key word that always comes up with me, I want to be more consistent. If you get these 5 fundamentals consistent, there's a chance to make that consistent swing. And then the game can become a lot easier. If one of these 5 things is wrong, it can be throwing the other 4 out of position. So you may have the perfect grip, you may have the perfect posture, but all of a sudden your club face is wrong. All of those good things are a waste of time because you've got one of the things wrong. If you do want to adapt your game and hit a draw or a fade, you can adapt those positions slightly to accommodate that shape. But as we said, everything today is about being orthodox. And that's important for me. Get the orthodox position and then you can adapt from there. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's gone through quite a few things there. We're sort of starting 2025, the new year. Let's get these 5 things right. Gives you a really good base to work from. And if you've got that base, your golf can move on tremendously. And that's what I want to do. I want to help your golf. But if you get these positions right, it makes it much easier to do. If you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, share this with your friends, and I look forward to seeing you soon.